Hello my friends, Stephanie here, and I'm back with more movie chatter. And what I have for you today is week 2 of our 31 days of Halloween. I'll go over this week's categories and the films that I decided to watch. And I'm trying to mix it up and watch things that I wouldn't normally watch or I haven't seen in a while, so it's not super repetitive and just the titles that we all love to watch every year. I'm trying to maybe bring in some new things into the mix. Also, if I pick more than one film in a category, it could be that maybe I watched more than one film in that category, or I just want to give you another option if you're not really crazy about the one that I chose. And I know in my last video I mentioned a giveaway coming up, maybe today, but what I didn't realize is that we are really close to 5,000 subscribers, which kind of blows my mind a little bit. I'm actually surprised. I hadn't even looked at the subscriber count. So I have a really nice giveaway planned for 5,000 subscribers, which hopefully will happen in the next week or so. So you have that to look forward to, and I'll let you know what I have planned for that. So I want to thank everybody, as always, for hanging in here and watching and commenting and subscribing and liking, and I really do enjoy talking to you guys and reading your comments, and I do try to get to every comment. If I miss one here or there, I apologize, but I really do. I enjoy reading and talking back and forth with you guys, so thank you for that. So I'm just going to get into this week's picks, and I'll let you know what I watched. And the first category, this was a cool category. It was revenge, a horror revenge film. And I went with a Korean film because I just love this one, and it's called I Saw the Devil. And again, it is a Korean film, so it's in Korean with English subtitles. And basically what we have is a serial killer who decides to take out the wrong woman, and her fiance then seeks revenge against this killer, and you cannot even imagine what goes on and what he does to this guy. And I don't want to get into it because this is a really unique premise. I've never seen any revenge film done quite this way, but I've also heard people say that they don't consider it horror, but let me tell you, there is violence and gore galore in this film. So if you don't consider this horror, I don't know what you're looking for, because this, believe me, this has tons of horror elements in it. Really good film, really good story, and like I said, plenty of violence, plenty of gore, but it fits the storyline. It's not just for the sake of being violent and gory. It really does, it fits the story. So high recommendations for this one. I Saw the Devil, and again, it's another subtitled film, but again, the subtitles are not so heavy that you can't enjoy the film, and I have faith you can do it. Do the subtitles. So I Saw the Devil was my first pick for the first category. Now the next category was the first horror film I saw in a theater. And if you've been around the channel enough, you know that back in the summer of 6th grade, I saw Jaws in the theater with my grandparents, but I didn't count that as my first solo horror theater experience because I was with adults. This is the first film that I saw with a group of friends. It was around 7th or 8th grade. It was 1980, so it was probably the end of 8th grade, and I went with a bunch of my friends to see Silent Scream. And here's the cover, because believe it or not, when I looked it up online, there's a few films, there's like The Silent Scream, A Silent Scream, but this one is just called Silent Scream. And a basic overview is we have a gal who has registered for college, but she gets there late and there is no on-campus housing. So they give her some lists and tell her to go seek some off-campus housing. And after a few fails, she comes across this large house that sits basically on a beach. And they're renting out rooms. And they have 2 other people living there, and she and another guy show up. They rent the last 2 rooms, and now we have the 4 roommates. And things are a little creepy and weird right from the beginning. You can tell that something's a little bit off, and all of a sudden, bad things start happening. And what I can tell you is I had not seen this film since I saw it in theaters with my friends, and I remember us screaming and being scared to death. I wouldn't say this scared me at all. It's a basic whodunit slasher type of a film, but it didn't scare me. But it was good. It was a good story. It held my attention to the end. I would watch it again. But like I said, it's not something that's going to scare you or freak you out. It's not anxiety inducing. It's kind of really, you're just trying to figure out the story, and people are getting picked off along the way. So if you haven't seen Silent Scream, it's definitely one that's worth a look. So put that on your list for ones to check out. And like I said, that's the first one I saw in theaters with my friends. So I was one of those annoying people in the back screaming. And the next category was films that surprised you as far as your expectations. So it was a horror film that exceeded your expectations. And this one absolutely, it brought so much more to the table than I ever expected it to. And it's called Don't Breathe. And I am so waiting for a sequel to this one. I hope they do something with this. What it is, a quick overview. You have a group of young people who are deciding to break into homes. They break into homes and they break into the home of a man that they know is blind. So they figure that they can pull this off very easily. And as luck would have it, the reason we have a movie is because things do not go as they planned. And this movie really surprised me. It was so anxiety inducing. There was so much tension. You never knew what was going to happen. And I just felt like I was like clenching my fists and holding my breath through the whole thing. And really exceeded my expectations. And I really give this a high recommendation because I think Don't Breathe is so much better than I ever thought it would be. So that was my pick for a film that exceeded my expectations. And if you haven't seen it, I recommend checking that out. I mean, I'm sure you can stream it. It might even be on Shudder at this point because I'm sure a lot of the channels have extra horror films on there that maybe they don't normally have. Now, this is going to be my controversial pick for this week because this is a category that I was kind of almost dreading. But it is a film that is not popular with a lot of people that I personally enjoy. Now, I'm not going to try and sell you on this one because if you're not a fan, you're not going to be a fan. But this was my pick for, you know, unpopular film that I like. And it is a Rob Zombie film, The Lords of Salem. And I'm a very unapologetic Rob Zombie fan. I love his music. I love his movies. Not to say that everyone is perfect. There are certainly missteps. There are ones that are better than others. But I actually enjoyed The Lords of Salem. I thought it was really good. And it's basically a story about witches. It's a story about witchcraft. And I don't want to get too much into it because it's really easy to ruin. But I really felt like this was a little bit more, it was definitely a departure from his typical, as he calls it, hillbilly horror. It wasn't that at all. It was, you have a gal who works at a radio station and she gets this record and supposedly something with the record triggers things to happen. And that's pretty much what I can tell you. And we follow our main character, of course, played by Sheri Moon Zombie, who I actually like as an actress. I do sometimes get a little tired of her playing the baby character. So this was a nice departure that she kind of just played a regular character. She wasn't that crazy baby wacky character that she normally plays, and I thought she did a really good job. And she's a woman who's going through some things and trying to figure out what's going on around her and why it's happening, but really good. I thought this was a well done movie, and like I said, it's a little more mature than what I've seen him do in the past. It felt like his writing had evolved and matured a little bit. Where I thought this movie took a little bit of a misstep was, I would say, the final act, like the last 20 minutes or so. Kind of wasn't what I wanted it to be or what I had hoped it to be, but not enough that it ruined the movie for me. I really do enjoy this movie. I would watch it again. I have watched it several times, but it's one that's always on my watch list, and I know it's not a popular choice with a lot of people. I'm not trying to sell you on it. If you don't like Rob Zombie movies, you're not going to like this one either. But if you are a fan of Rob Zombie movies and you haven't seen this one, maybe give it a shot. You can probably stream it somewhere. Like I said, a lot of the streaming services are offering horror movies for the month, obviously. So maybe you can pick it up on streaming. Don't run out and buy it and then blame me if you don't like it. But if you want to give it a shot, if you're a Rob Zombie fan and you haven't seen it, give it a shot. It's not as bad as what everybody says it is. So Lords of Salem is my unpopular pick of the week, so you have that. Now, the next category was remakes that I like. And I am generally not a fan of the remake. I think a lot of movies just need to be left alone, and I think that we're too quick to remake everything. But the one that I watched has always, I thought, been a fantastic remake and scares the life out of me. It's the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And this one is from, I want to say it's 2003. And it stars Jessica Biel and Eric Balfour. And this is a terrifying remake. Now, if you remember, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre doesn't have a lot of gore in it. It's kind of implied. You have the tense moments, and you have Leatherface, and you have the chainsaw going in the air, but there's not a lot of gore. This is just the opposite. This has a lot of gore, a lot of anxiety-inducing moments, and this comes at you like a freight train. It is the real deal. So if you haven't, if you're not a fan of remakes like myself, give this one a chance if you haven't seen it yet, because it's definitely worth a look, and I think that it's a really nice addition to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, which it's all over the place. If you followed it at all, it's all kinds of people showing up, and no one knows what order it goes in. At least I don't. But this is a really nice addition to the franchise, and I think it holds up well. And if you don't if you're not a fan of Texas Chainsaw or things like that, my second pick for a remake that I really do like would be David Cronenberg's The Fly, the remake of The Fly with Jeff Goldblum. I just think this is such a good remake, and I can remember being so grossed out from the first time I saw it, and it still holds true to today. So if you haven't seen The Fly, this would be another pick in the category of remakes that I like. So those are those picks. And the next one, this was an interesting category. I hadn't seen this on other lists before, and it was a horror film that has to do with cults. And I picked out one that I had shown in my horror collection video, and I hadn't watched yet. I think it was like 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, and everyone kept saying, you have to watch it, you have to watch it, it's so good. And I am so happy I took your advice. It is Kill List. And what the basic premise of this one is, we have a hitman who botched a hit, and he's taken a year off. And now he's given a list of 3 hits that he has to do, and he's told there's going to be a big payoff. And I believe this has some, it's subtitled. It has English subtitles. I think it might be, if I remember correctly, I just watched this the other day. I think it's in Spanish. Part of it's in Spanish. And so the English subtitles, but yeah, really good stuff. And it definitely has some hints of The Wicker Man, which I have also recently watched. But if you like The Wicker Man, I think you're gonna like this, because you have the whole cult thing going on. And again, I don't want to give too much away because this is really easy to spoil. And the last act of this movie really, it's like a gut punch, and it's so good. And I've read reviews where people said they didn't understand the ending. I don't know how you could not understand the ending, because this guy's going along, he's going down his list, he's doing what he's supposed to do, and just things start to happen, and it reveals itself. And like I said, very reminiscent of The Wicker Man. So if you like that, I would definitely give Kill List a look, because this one really surprised me in the best way. And I would definitely watch this one again. This one was, I think it was the 3rd time I've seen it, and I enjoy it every time, and everyone I have shown it to has really enjoyed it. So Kill List would be my choice for movies about cults. And of course, you can always watch the classic The Wicker Man. Now, this next one, I have 3, because you'll know what I mean. You can't watch one without the others. It was a horror comedy. Pick a horror comedy. So, of course, I went with The Evil Dead. I went with The Evil Dead, the first one. The 4K looks great. Then, of course, how can you not? Evil Dead 2. This is the one this is the one that really drew me in. This was the first one I thought of, was Evil Dead 2. And then I finished with Army of Darkness. And these are just so good, and they go together so well. And I mean, Army of Darkness is just, it is so much fun. And I'm not going to give it away what happens, but Army of Darkness picks up right where Evil Dead 2 leaves off. So you have the end of Evil Dead 2, and then you can go right into Army of Darkness if you haven't seen it. But both of these are so much fun. I think these have more comedic elements than the original Evil Dead. But my friend Jay over at Absolute Sublime 1, he has said that he feels like Evil Dead 2 is just a remake, like a funnier remake and a more modern remake of the Evil Dead. And I would kind of have to agree with that. I think he's got a point there. So these go hand in hand, and then, like I said, Army of Darkness picks up right where Evil Dead 2 leaves off. And all I can say about these is they are groovy. And if you've seen them, you'll know why I say that. But yeah, highest recommendations. If you want to see some great horror comedy, check out the Evil Dead trilogy. And I mean, how can you go wrong with Ash, right? And they shouldn't have ever stopped Ash Meets the Evil Dead, or Ash and the Evil Dead, the TV series, because I thought that was great. And I recently finished that one, but really good stuff. And I wish he would bring back the character of Ash, but I have heard it said that he says he's never going to play it again. So unfortunately, that could be the end of our Ash character. And the last category that I had for this week was to pick a classic. And this one is an adaptation. It's a Roger Corman film. It's an adaptation of an Edgar Allan Poe story, and it is The Pit and the Pendulum. Pit and the Pendulum, starring Vincent Price. And this is the Arrow Steelbook. It's got the horizontal design, which some people like, some people don't. I like it because it's something different. And then you have the back cover art, and then you have, it comes with a book, no cover, no disc art, but it has some really great interior artwork. So The Pit and the Pendulum is, I think it's a lot of fun, and it's from I believe 61. And you have a gentleman who is told that his sister has passed away, and her brother goes to find out. He goes to talk to his dead sister's husband, played by Vincent Price, and he lives in this big, in Spain, in this huge castle, and he goes to talk to him about what happened, and Vincent Price tells him that his sister died of a rare blood disorder. But as he's there, things start to happen, and it turns into kind of a ghost story. And he thinks that maybe something sinister has happened to his sister. And this is just so good. It's so creepy, super atmospheric. Everything about it just works. And this is proof that you don't need a lot of violence and gore to make a really effective, creepy, scary horror movie, because this film just delivers in spades. And I think part of that, I think a lot of that is accredited to the role Vincent Price plays. He is masterful in his role in this movie, as he is in pretty much everything I see him in. I'm a huge Vincent Price fan, but he just knocks it out of the park in this one. And from beginning to end, like I said, it's a nail biter. There's a lot of tension. It's super atmospheric, and I don't think you're going to be disappointed. If you haven't seen The Pit and the Pendulum, I highly, highly recommend it. Now, this particular one from Arrow is a Region B, but I have a Region Free player. But here in the States, you can get it. Scream Factory has re-released the Vincent Price Collection Volume 1 that had been out of print. And it has The Pit and the Pendulum, The Mask of the Red Death, Haunted Palace, The Fall of the House of Usher, The Abominable Dr. Phibes, Dr. Phibes, which one is it? You tell me, and Witchfinder General. So if you want to pick this up, I don't think it's too expensive. I think it's maybe like in the 40s right now on Amazon, so that would be a good way you can get it. And I'm sure you can find a standalone copy of The Pit and the Pendulum. So those are my picks for this week based on the categories that I was given. Let me know if you're following along. Let me know what your picks would be. I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed doing it for you as always, and I'm going to post again real soon this week because I have some catching up to do. I've been dealing with a cold and not feeling very well, but I'm back in action. So I'm going to be back to you real soon this week, and like I said, I have some things, some reviews and some hauls and things like that to post for you guys. So if you enjoyed this video, you know the drill. Give me a thumbs up, leave me some comments, suggestions, recommendations, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you'll know when I upload. And I'm going to catch you guys on the next one. I hope you have a great rest of the weekend, and for today, that's a wrap.